In 1993, three engineers walked into a Denny's in San Jose. What they discussed over coffee would eventually reshape the entire world. But back then, they were just three guys with a crazy idea. Build a chip that could make video games look better. Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis Preem founded NVIDIA with a simple mission: create graphics processors for the gaming market. The name? A play on NVIDIA, Latin for envy. They wanted people to envy their technology. But NVIDIA wasn't alone. This was the era of the GPU wars, a brutal battlefield where companies rose and fell with terrifying speed. 3DFX, ATI, Matrox, S3 Graphics, dozens of competitors, all fighting for the same prize: to render the future. NVIDIA's first product, the NV1, launched in 1995. It was a disaster. They bet on the wrong rendering technology. The chip flopped. The company nearly perished. But Jensen Huang made a decision that would define NVIDIA's culture forever. Instead of hiding the failure, he gathered the company and said,
"We have 6 months of cash left. We either innovate or we die."
In 1999, NVIDIA launched the GeForce 256. They called it the world's first GPU, graphics processing unit. The term didn't exist before NVIDIA invented it. This wasn't just marketing. The GeForce 256 offloaded complex calculations from the CPU, transforming how computers rendered graphics. Gamers loved it. But more importantly, someone else noticed. Scientists, researchers, engineers. They realized these gaming chips could do more than render explosions in video games. The parallel processing architecture, thousands of tiny cores working simultaneously, could accelerate scientific simulations, cryptography, artificial intelligence. In 2006, NVIDIA released CUDA, a platform that let programmers harness GPU power for general computing. Wall Street didn't care. Investors thought it was a distraction from the gaming business. But Jensen Huang was playing a different game. By 2012, a team of researchers at the University of Toronto used NVIDIA GPUs to win the ImageNet competition, proving that neural networks could see and recognize images better than any system in history. This was the Big Bang moment for modern AI. The company that made video game chips had accidentally built the engine for the AI revolution. Every AI company needed NVIDIA chips. There were no real alternatives. Want to train ChatGPT? You need thousands of NVIDIA GPUs. Want to run Google's AI models? NVIDIA. Facebook's recommendation algorithms? NVIDIA. Autonomous vehicles? NVIDIA. NVIDIA's market value exploded from $10 billion in 2015 to over $3 trillion by 2024, making it briefly the most valuable company on Earth. Jensen Huang became tech royalty, always wearing his signature leather jacket, treated like a rock star at conferences. But with great power came great scrutiny. NVIDIA didn't just dominate the AI chip market, they controlled it with an iron grip. Their CUDA software locked developers into NVIDIA hardware. Their chips were sold with strict terms. They decided who got access and who didn't. Critics called it a monopoly. The US government started investigating. France raided NVIDIA's offices. China accused them of restricting technology. Then the cracks started to show. Competition emerged. AMD launched competitive chips. Google built its own AI processors. Amazon, Microsoft, even Meta started designing custom silicon. The customers were tired of being dependent on one company. But the real shock came in January 2025. A Chinese AI lab called DeepSeek released a model that performed as well as the best American AI, but trained using a fraction of the computing power and far cheaper chips. Wall Street panicked. If you don't need the most expensive NVIDIA chips to build cutting-edge AI, what happens to NVIDIA's trillion-dollar valuation? In days, the company lost nearly $600 billion in market value, the largest single stock loss in history. Export controls meant NVIDIA couldn't sell their best chips to China, but Chinese companies were innovating around the restrictions, finding ways to do more with less. The sanctions backfired. Meanwhile, Washington passed laws forcing NVIDIA to share their technology with the government. Silicon Valley accused politicians of killing American innovation. Beijing banned government agencies from using NVIDIA products entirely. NVIDIA was caught in the crossfire of the new Cold War, too powerful for governments to ignore, too important to fail, but suddenly more vulnerable than anyone imagined. So what happens now? NVIDIA still dominates. Their chips power most of the AI revolution. But the GPU wars never really ended. They just evolved. New players emerge. Old assumptions die. And the company that survived near death in the 1990s faces a new kind of challenge. Because the dark truth of the GPU wars is this: in technology, dominance is temporary. The same innovation that lets you win today becomes your vulnerability tomorrow. The empire you build becomes the target everyone aims at. NVIDIA went from a failing video game chip company to the most powerful entity in tech, the engine of artificial intelligence, the gatekeeper of the future. But in the GPU wars, the battle is never over, and the king always has the most to lose. If you enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up and join the community. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.